Breakfast in America here on LBC. After Cool Clegg, can it get any better?
Okay.
Well,
Good morning, everybody.
You decide, I was about to say. It's Ask Boris.
Good morning, everybody.
In New
This
York.
is Boris Johnson bringing you your latest edition of Ask Boris on LBC. I'm here with my trusty helpmeet, Mr. Nick Ferrari. For the next 30 minutes, taking your calls. It's your chance to put any questions you'd like to me. I will do my best to answer. So the numbers for you to get your questions on the air are 0345 6060 973 or email boris@lbc.co.uk. Don't forget, you can also watch on the website in high definition, lbc.co.uk. Let's go to our first caller. Colin in Ruislip. Colin, are you still there?
I am. How are you, Boris? Okay?
I'm not too bad, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for visiting the hospital radio where I work.
Colin, it's you. How are you? Nice to talk to you.
Fill in the listeners, Mr. Mayor.
Right.
What are we talking about?
Well,
here?
this is a wonderful hospital radio station.
Where?
Tillingdon Hospital in.
Ah.
I think I'm right in saying. Go on, Colin.
Yes, you've recorded a get well message for all the patients. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Haven't they suffered enough than they have
Well,
to have
that's
you
right.
on hospital radio,
I was
Mr.
just
Mayor?
thinking. I don't know about the medical efficacy of my.
Dear
get
God,
well
some
message.
of these souls have
Let's
been through
hope.
so much. Colin, we move to your question
How are
of
you?
London Mayor.
What
Is your question?
What can we do to help you this morning, Colin?
Well, my question is, I work for a care agency and I do take a lot of people out and about. We use the Metropolitan line an awful lot.
Right.
And Transport for London has got these wonderful new trains.
Yes.
But why do the trains fitted with these doors that can be opened independently? When the trains arrive at Uxbridge Station, the driver gets out, no matter what the weather, leaves the doors open. So you're sitting on there 15 minutes before the train departs,
and there's a freezing
absolutely freezing
draft comes in. I understand. Right. Well, we will get onto it immediately. Colin, I will talk to Mike Brown, the superb managing director of London Underground, and we will see what we can do to sort that out. I'm sure there's a very simple solution: shut the door. We will get on to it.
Seem to have solved it, Mr. Mayor.
Let's work it. Let's work it out. If there's any reason why we can't shut that door, and I can't see why there should be, we'll get you a full explanation. But
Colin, before I let you go,
that sounds to me like the sort of problem we can crack pretty soon.
Before I let you go, what have the patients of the hospital been saying about the good wishes from Mayor Johnson?
Oh, poor things.
They're very responsive, actually. One thing we did have to. One thing we did have to remind Boris when he done the get well message, he wasn't to say this is the Mayor of London, because we'll probably use it when he's an MP again.
Oh, I see. Okay,
That might confuse people.
That's very.
Boris,
go on, Colin.
Quickly, if you would.
Just quickly, one other thing about
Thank you,
these
sir.
trains.
Yep.
When they stop at other stations, like Harrow on the Hill, and they have a 3-minute wait for signals, they still keep the doors open in. But these trains can have all the doors shut, and you just open the one. And as they're all one carriage, the draft whistles down there like a wind
Right.
tunnel.
It's a very good point. And Colin's
for you.
actually making a very, very good point.
Yes.
Because we've got the new S-Stock trains, as you know, the beautiful trains on the Metropolitan line, and other lines they're coming in. They are these like worms. They don't have any compartments. They're so they'd be fantastic for a game of indoor cricket or whatever. You go hit the ball all the way down the thing.
Kiss chase.
Yeah, whatever you wanted to do. But the difficulty is that, as Colin says, the wind whistles all the way down. So listen, Colin, it's a serious point. I will get on to Mike Brown and to LU and see what we can do to keep passengers warmer and to shut the doors.
Before we go to our next call, thank you for that. Good luck with the work you do. Anyone
yes,
involved in hospital
fantastic.
radio,
They do a wonderful thing.
Seriously, it's huge. We're in New York, as you are aware, Mr. Mayor. I've no idea what the time is, but we've also asked. It's absurd. But we've also got some calls from some New Yorkers. This is the first.
You're joking. Are we being listened to in New York? Is this Sophie in here?
Here we go. Nope.
Hi, Mr. Johnson. This is Lauren Jenkins. I'm from California. I have a question for you. The last time you spoke with the Queen, what did she say?
Oh,
the last
time I spoke with the Queen, I think, isn't there some etiquette that you're not meant to reveal your conversation?
It's allowed at this time of the morning in Manhattan. So what did she say?
I think I'm on record actually as reporting the gist of what she said, which was this was after the Olympics, and I think she wanted to know whether people had been entertained by her stellar performance in the opening ceremony. When you remember, she appears and then parachutes in. and landed in the. Do you remember? She comes. I can't remember where she landed, but she came down on a parachute.
Well, she went and landed in the Olympic Stadium. It's not that hard.
Well, that's right. That's it. I thought it was something.
Where do you want
she was in
land?
the Olympic. I was
watching. It wasn't her. I
know, but she was in the. It was very cleverly done. So you were led to believe it was her, and she did a wonderful piece of acting. You will remember with the James Bond character and
Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig, exactly right, and some corgis and her children and stuff like that. And she wanted to know what people had thought of it, and she very innocently wanted to know whether people thought it was funny. And I said it was brilliant.
Have you not seen the Queen since then?
I don't think I have actually. No, no, quite. I hope I.
Well, I look forward to
I don't think I. No, I don't get to see the Queen that often. You know.
Okay.
What do you think I do? Spend my whole time going around Buckingham Palace, sort of sucking up to the monarchy and stuff.
I've got to get on around Manhattan at the moment. We moved to other course,
but we know why we're in. We know why we're in Manhattan. We're in Manhattan. To advertise the wares of London. And he's going unbelievably well.
I'm pleased. We'll talk about that in just a moment.
We're going to talk about that.
Yes, we are.
I think we need to go to another call.
Let's go to
Raj in Stanmore.
Raj in Stanmore. You're through to London Mayor. Go ahead, Raj.
Good morning, Boris. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
It's really nice to have two blonde bombshells representing us in America. But, Boris, I've got to come back to you. A year and a half ago, I contacted you on behalf of the Stanmore Chamber of Trade and the residents of Stanmore with regards to a crossing that we have problems with. TfL got in touch with me.
Oh, I know this.
A year later, just completely went quiet. No one wants to know what's going on.
This is a level crossing, did you say?
Early. Yeah, there's not a level crossing. It's just a pedestrian crossing traffic lights. We've already had one serious fatality on it.
Yeah.
But they've done nothing.
Right.
Well, I know you're representing us in America, and it's brilliant, but we need your representation here.
I understand. Okay, Raj, you want the pedestrian crossing fixed in Stanmore. I will. And it's definitely our road, isn't it? I remember this issue. Let me get back to you, and I will make sure. I know that TfL will be listening to this conversation, and if there's anything we can do, we will. My recollection is that there is a difference of opinion between us and the council about this. I think the issue, but we will see what we can do to sort it out, Raj.
All right, Raj, stay on the line. Talk to one of my team. We will get you through, and we'll get all the details, and the mayor will respond. Before we go on to the next caller, who is Sophie, Mr. Mayor, I have a question of you. Do you like water cannon?
I don't like water cannon, no. I think that they may...
Are they effective?
They may, in some circumstances, be necessary.
Did you discuss them with Bill Bratton, the New York
Police
Department Commissioner?
They didn't come up, actually.
I did. This is what Commissioner Bratton had to say.
Come on.
Water cannon is not something we use in the United States.
Boris likes it. He's bought some, and he's not allowed to use them. What should he do about that?
Well, that's something you're going to have to resolve over there. But here, because of the horrific history of using water hoses, not water cannon, during the civil rights era of the 1960s, that's anathema that's not used or contemplating being used anywhere in America.
A horrific history, Mr. Mayor.
Well, you know, the police in America have different tools at their resources. They have much more. They have weapons that we don't have. As you know, there's a very different approach to arming the police here in this city, and indeed a very different approach to weaponry generally.
Yeah, should every police officer in Britain have a taser?
Well, it's an entirely different question. And on tasers, I think no. I think that the balance that Bernard Hogan has tried to strike is probably right. I think it's not a bad idea that more squad cars should be equipped with tasers, so that when they go to when something is going down, they have the ability to make use of a taser if that is necessary. But I don't think I want every officer. I don't think the public would want every officer wandering around with some lethal or potentially dangerous zapper.
Are you ever going to shoot me with a water cannon? You always promised.
I used to have some curious sort of fixation, some strange psychiatric desire to be water cannon.
Acrophobia or whatever.
I'm not. You know, this is something that, as I say, we are looking into. The position with water cannon is that the police want them in London. They think they'd be
Home Secretary won't allow it.
And the question is when we're
Why
going
won't
to get a
Theresa
license.
May allow them?
There is a process to be gone through. She is consulting various people, and I have no doubt whatever, by the way, that were those water cannon to be necessary, and we have got them at the ready. People have been trained to use them. Were they necessary? Were circumstances in the vanishingly unlikely situation where we did need to deploy water cannon, I've no doubt that a Home Secretary would supply license. Sophie in Hillingdon.
Let's go to the next call, Mr. Mayor. Next caller is Sophie, I believe. Sophie, go ahead.
Where's Sophie?
Hello, Boris. Hello.
How are you?
Unfortunately, my teenage son was mugged and robbed in the street just before Christmas. The police have identified a suspect and made an arrest. In the course of their investigation, they have approached TfL to try and find out this suspect's travel movements on the night of the mugging. And the detectives involved have been told that TfL will not supply that information because the offence didn't take place on a bus or on a train.
Is that right? That sounds extraordinary to me, Sophie. I'm going to get onto that immediately. I see absolutely no reason why we shouldn't be able to supply information that of that kind that the police need in order to be able to mount a prosecution and to vindicate the rights of your son. I'm very sorry about that. Let me find out what we can do to be useful to you. And I'm very sorry about the experience of your son. And you know, I hope he's feeling better about things. And obviously it's no consolation to you, Sophie, or to your son, but we really are doing our best to crack down on.
Well, not just doing your best. And Sophie, we will make sure that happens. And I know the Mayor's office, because we monitor it, the Mayor's office always does take relevant action. And as the Mayor rightly says, it is no consolation. But briefly, in a sentence, actually, crime, it's a story to tell, isn't it?
Well, it is. And
not for this lad, but others.
No, exactly. And it will be no consolation to Sophie or her son. But the fact is that crime in London is really falling at a rate now, and we are bringing down these types of robberies, and it's very important that one of the big things we're finding here in New York is that one of the reasons we're seeing these huge investments in London is people recognise that it's a very, very safe city. They look around Europe now. Our tube network is the safest of any in Europe by international comparisons.
Fantastic.
And that matters to people
of course it does.
who are going to bring their families over and want them to be safe.
We're in Manhattan. We're Breakfast in America. We've been asking Americans, by the way, on the streets of New York for some questions. We went out yesterday and taped one. Yeah. Let's take another question from the streets of New York.
Hello, Boris. My name is Valerie. I'm from New Jersey. Do you really get your hair cut that way?
Well, Valerie, that's a very, very kind question, interesting question. I tell you, it's better than the other question I was asked by. I was walking down the street and then somebody was taking my photograph and a young woman stopped and she said, "Is that Trump?" So, I think she meant, "Is that Donald Trump?"
Yeah.
Yeah, well...
You're more famous and richer than Donald Trump, of course, so don't worry, more wealthy.
Exactly.
So do you have your hair cut, or does it just happen by accident?
Of course I have my hair cut.
In that fashion? They actually style it like that, do they?
I might ask the same question of you.
Never mind me, you're the mayor.
Enough of this personal onslaught at this time of the morning in New York.
We
do our best. We've got to go to Guy in Reigate. Guy, how are you?
Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Sir.
Talking about haircuts, if you're in the military, you should have got a haircut, but
I'm very sorry
we'll leave
about
it there, sir.
Yes, okay, fair enough.
Very, very quickly, you very kindly offer on the tube to all members of the forces free travel when in uniform.
Yes.
Which, of course, is appreciated at all times. Nevertheless, some of us, when we're travelling, we would rather be in civvies, and if we're going up to functions up in town. So, would you consider allowing us to travel just in our cities, but basically extending the very generous thing that you do?
You're very well. It's a great thought, Guy. The reason we haven't done that is basically that we want to recognise the armed services. To allow them free travel whilst in uniform seems to me to strike the right balance, because there are huge numbers of personnel, obviously, who could be members of the armed services one way or the other, who wanted to travel around. About 100,000 must be more. 200,000 perhaps. I can't remember the exact numbers. When you tot it all up, civilians and so on combined, you'd have a very, very large number of people. I think it would be difficult to identify them. They could all obviously present their pass, but I think for the convenience of the system and in order to knit together the armed services and the rest of us in the way that I would love to see, I think the rule about travelling in uniform is probably right, and I think that's I always hate to say no on any of these things, but I think we're going to stick with the policy that we've got, and I hope that won't be too inconvenient for your guys.
No, it's not.
And one of the other things, by the way, I think to give the service to people who are in uniform, I think probably it's great, because what happens is that on the tube or wherever they are, they have a civilizing influence. People see a member of the armed forces, I think they pay them respect, and as I say, to go back to our early conversation, keep people behaving well.
All right. Quick question from me before we go to our next caller. I got in a bit of a war of words with a union official yesterday who falsely accused of me of being a wife beater. Because
I saw that.
It was extraordinary. Yes, it was. But at the heart of it is the importance of safety of people on London Underground and a potential strike over a man who is reported to have failed a breath test.
Well, I think the whole thing is very, very bizarre. This is a situation in which a driver, as I understand it, or a member of staff has failed 2 random breath tests, and it is perfectly obvious that you cannot turn up to work on our system to drive trains and so on, having failed breath tests and having failed alcohol tests. Now, what then happened, of course, was a ballot for strike action, in which only 42% of people voted. 42% of the 1,225 people voted, and I think only 24% overall voted yes. 18% voted no, so it was very, very close. You had a tiny number of people voting.
How do we allow a great city like London?
It is absolutely bonkers. It is mad, and this strike could never happen under the proposals that we are bringing forward to put in a ballot threshold.
Bringing forward or implementing, which is it, Mr. Mayor?
Well, as you know, these have been announced by Patrick McLaughlin and the Conservatives as measures that we would bring in after the election, and they're entirely right. It's been difficult to do this in the last few years, and much as I have wanted to, and you've heard me bang on about this many, many times, we haven't been able to get coalition government support for one reason or another, and now is the time to go ahead and do this. This is absolutely mad. 1,225 members balloted. Only 299 people voted for this thing. 221 actually voted no. And we are having a strike because a guy failed 2 random breath tests. It is bonkers. It is potty. It is nuts. We should not tolerate it in a great city like London. And we need a change to those ballot laws. It is absolutely intolerable.
Where should we go?
Can we go
to
Boris?
Who's going to ask Boris?
Can we go to Dave in Romford, please? Sorry to get worked up, but
not at all. No, well said. Dave, go ahead. You're through to the London Mayor. What's your question?
Good morning, boys. I just like the Mayor's views on implementing the no jaywalking law that they have in America.
Yeah,
because driving around London, the pedestrians have no respect for the roads. They're on a par with a cyclist, really.
Well, Dave, obviously everybody has to pay due care and attention to the roads and road safety. I don't think I want to see a no jaywalking law of the kind they have in America. We're a land, America says it's the land of the free. Well, because we're basically a home of liberty. People should be able to cross the road, looking both ways and paying due care and attention. But there is, I have to say, I do not want to see a situation in which you can be shot for jaywalking or whatever. That does not strike me as being a healthy balance.
I don't know that you're shot.
A healthy balance between the rights of the individual and the good of society. So,
somebody who drives, Boris, around London, the pedestrians cause complete chaos. They don't look. They don't cross on the pelican crossings or the zebra crossings. They don't cross at lights, and they cause a lot of accidents.
Well, now you're making there's a very good point, I think, in this, which is there's been a change in society, and I think what is going wrong, if I may say, I'm perfectly in favour. I think pedestrians have rights. Pedestrians. I want a London where people walk more and people use the roads in all sorts of ways. But I think the worry I have is that pedestrians are now crossing the roads with their earphones in the whole time and endlessly on their looking at their iPhones or their mobiles, texting. And not paying attention to that is what I see. Now, I both drive around London, Dave, and I cycle a lot around London, and I walk around. But as a cyclist, it is now people just they drift off into the carriageway whilst looking at their mobile phones, and that is the risk I see, Dave. I don't know whether you agree with this, but that is what I think is.
Well, how are you going to police
driving
that, Mr. Mayor?
Well, what you do is you get over to people that they have got to concentrate on what they are doing. As it happens, Dave, all the figures show that we are seeing a reduction in pedestrian KSIs. The roads in London, people who've been killed or seriously injured. Yeah. The roads in London have got markedly safer. safer over the last 10 years.
So are you talking about pedestrians not being on their mobile phones?
I'm talking about all the pedestrians on their mobile phones.
They shouldn't be on their mobile phones.
No, what they shouldn't be doing is texting or whatever.
I'm not allowed to text as I walk on the streets of London.
And not what they do. I'm telling you this because I watch this as a psychic. What they then do is they drift absent-mindedly off the pavement.
What are you going to do?
Onto the road.
Have cattle prods or something that stops them. What would you do?
What I'm going to do is use this very excellent public service
Use
called
my good
LBC.
Offices, yeah, it's
called LBC. It's a wonderful thing. It's called radio, and explain that I, as mayor, don't think it's a good idea for people so much to be on their gizmos.
You don't want people
whilst
texting
drifting
on the streets.
No, I don't mind them texting on the streets. I don't want them texting in the middle of the carriageway with Dave in Romford and me on my bicycle trying to get past because it is dangerous. That's the point I'm making. But I'm also want to reassure Dave by saying that actually KSIs are well down and continue to come down, and that's I think a tribute to the work of from
the streets of London to the streets of New York. Let's take another call, another question even that we taped earlier from New York.
Hi, Boris. My name's Patrick. I just want to know, what are they putting in the sandwiches at Buckingham's Palace?
The last sandwich you had at Buckingham.
Do you not notice the incredible fact? Look, we've had 2 questions from American listeners, your many, many millions of American listeners.
We went out and found them.
And what do they want to know about? They want to know about the Queen. They want to know whether I had a conversation with the Queen. They wanted to know about the sandwiches in Buckingham Palace. What does it show you? That they deep down, in a primal way, they regret that fundamental schism of 1776, and they wish that we were one single commonwealth of English-speaking peoples again, united under Her Majesty.
Used to be the man.
That is what they secretly
want.
In the
US.
That is what they secretly want, isn't it? You can tell.
Yeah, I do get that sense. I do get that sense.
Urge to restore.
So what's in the sandwich? The last sandwich you had at Buckingham Palace.
I think we've Buckingham. It's probably some sort of. It's probably ham from Buckingham.
In Buckingham.
Yeah,
from Buckinghamshire.
Yeah, right.
All righty, we go to the next caller, Mr. Mayor. Do you know where we're going next?
I think we're going to Colin
in South Woodford.
Yes,
go ahead, Colin.
Sir.
Hi, good morning, Boris.
Good morning, sir.
You just said that you don't want to give all of the armed forces the chance to ride on the Underground for free unless they've got the uniform on.
Yes.
But why is it that everybody who works the Underground seems to be able to sell their second ticket for family to friends? Why don't we just make it so if you work for the Underground, it's only you that gets free travel and not your family?
Well, Colin, because there are terms and conditions under which many, many thousands of people joined our wonderful organisation was that would be one of the perks that they get. If we want to antagonise those people and to vary those terms or cheese them off terminally, we could take away this perk, which is something that actually is a pretty marginal cost to TfL. And I appreciate that it's something that exercises people a lot, but it is a privilege that one of the privileges of working for TfL. And by the way, one of the reasons why it is all the more absurd, if I get back to my earlier point, all the more absurd that people should strike over a tiny because of a tiny number of people who have voted in this ballot when the driver has twice been breathalyzed and found to have alcohol in his system. I do think it. When you consider the perks that they have, it makes it seem to me, at least, all the more unreasonable that they're striking on that basis. I don't want to take the privilege away, Colin. It's something that our workforce value very highly, but I think in response, they should be the RMT leadership should be much more responsible about how they handle these strike ballots, and that is why I think it's necessary to bring.
I think we've got time. There's 10 o'clock news coming up in just a second. Another minute or two with the Mayor. London, Mr. Mayor, can I ask you a question? Is it true that David Cameron is a dodgy Prime Minister with dodgy donors?
Of course, what a load of absolute. I mean, obviously we haven't been able to follow this very closely from.
It was at PMQ.
No, but look, I mean, what a load of absolute tripe. And David Cameron is a man of the absolute highest ethical standing. I have known in every respect, and I think it's really scraping the bottom for Labour to start chucking this stuff around. I'm sure that they have all sorts of donors. I mean, no names, no patch, and I have no evidence. I'm sure they've got all sorts of donors who have all sorts of tax accounts all over the place, and complete nonsense as far as I can see. And just for the benefit of all listeners who may remember this, as we proved exhaustively during the election campaign of 2012, all mayoral candidates in that election were found to pay their taxes more comprehensively than others, as I recall.
We go back to the last caller here.
I mean, I paid everything and didn't have any kind of...
Actually, you've paid tax to come here, haven't you? Why did you settle your US tax bill?
Because I'm a law-abiding guy, and
But you didn't need to, did you?
Well, you've got to abide by the law. And I tell you what.
You caved in, Mr. Mayor.
Listen. I believe in paying my
taxes. The IRS.
I believe in paying.
IRS 1, Boris 0.
I believe in paying my taxes. Unlike some members of the Labour Party, I can mention, who skulk and cower behind tax shielding operations, pretending to be companies, as I recall, when they're in reality. When they are in reality.
Let's talk to our last caller for now. Who is going to take the last?
Yeah, Jean in Northwood.
Jean,
hello, Boris.
Yes,
hello,
go
Jean.
ahead.
Good morning.
Good morning. I think it's good morning. I was very impressed to hear that you were impressed by the radiation detectors in New York. Hasn't it been going on here already? Massive radiation is already in the air. Think of Hiroshima, plutonium, polonium that got Levchenko. I'm very impressed, Boris. And who are you going to speak to, and when is it?
Well, what we're going to do, I mean, Jean, it was an absolutely fascinating conversation. In New York, thousands of officers and helicopters and so on, police cars, are equipped with radiation detectors, Geiger counters, effectively, to monitor the becquerels or whatever it is, or the Q. I can't remember what the units of radiation are, and the question I have now, which I want to take back urgently to Bernard and to our security people, is this something we should be doing? Is there an appreciable risk of a dirty bomb in London, a primitive nuclear device of the kind that they're worried about in New York? If so, should we be spending money on this kind of monitoring? I'm not sure, Jean, yet. I'm not sure that the cost of that would be commensurate with the risk, because it might be decided that the risk was actually very small, and there were other ways of monitoring it. But certainly, when you look back to the Litvinenko case, which you mentioned, we could perhaps, if we'd had these things and we'd had the kind of CCTV, integrated CCTV coverage that they have in America, we might have been able to make a better fist of tracking down Mr. Litvinenko's killers. And that, I think, is worth reflecting on as well.
Last question from the streets of New York before you go. Here's the final one, Mr. Mayor.
Hi, Boris. My name is Ida. I'm from New York. The question for you is, can you name any of the Queen's corgis?
Oh my goodness! Do I not have a point here, folks? Isn't it?
Could you name one of the Queen's?
I haven't got the faintest idea what they're called. Basil. I don't know. Eric.
Who would Basil and Eric?
Even
I know one's called Holly.
Holly. I've no idea. Well, okay.
Basil and Eric.
I've got the faintest idea of the names of the Queen's corgis. But I rest my case, my lad. Is it not the people of America? What do they want? What do they want? Royalty.
They do.
What do they want? They've been deprived for too long.
Lastly.
They've been deprived for too long of that blissful
Prior
certainty
to your conversation,
that goes with the hereditary monarchy.
U.S. Senator Hillary Clinton yesterday, I am told, she came into the press room and she saw a veritable phalanx of journalists, cameras, microphones, and she said, "My God, is this man running for president?" All the people that have attended you, all the people who've come over for Britain, Mr. Mayor, has it been worth it?
It's been a very, very good trip. You've got to do these trips, Nick, as you know, and it's absolutely vital to bang the drum for London. We've had hundreds, of businesses with us, many of whom have come up to me after events and said they've done deals, that they're taking these forward. As you know, we announced big investments from medical companies into London just in the last few days. Big investments, financial technology investments in London. What they value is the opportunity to meet people in a context that they wouldn't otherwise achieve. And the object of a mayoral visit is to bust down doors and get Londoners into meeting rooms with big American money men. And so far it's been very successful. And yeah, I think I'm very pleased.
2 more days to go, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Are we talking again?
Well, we certainly are, yes,
Terrific.
but that will be for tomorrow. Apologies to Her Majesty if she's listening. Basil and Eric, in fact, I'm told, are Holly and Willow, but there we are. We do our best. I'm done. I'm back with Breakfast in America tomorrow. James O'Brien's after the news on LBC. I'm with you tomorrow morning. Meantime, stay safe.
Thank you very much, Nick. All right, the story that unfolded yesterday and began with Twitter
isn't it interesting?
on my feed.
I mean, isn't that interesting?